Hello, my beautiful friends. I'm your host, Leah Rowling.
And I'm Cari Kenzie. Welcome to Shift Happens. Discover the leader within. This podcast is designed to disrupt the way you live, lead, and love. At Shift, we challenge traditional narratives and believe that inner wisdom is the key to every decision.
Are you ready to explore a new paradigm of both living and leading? We'll dive deep into our innate strengths as women: compassion, curiosity, intuition, grace, vulnerability, and love. The shift, it's about to get real. Rediscover the power within and transform your life. Stay tuned. It all starts now. Hello, our beautiful friends. How are you? Welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to a new year. We are so glad that you are here with us today, that you're spending this bit of your new year listening to us and being in this conversation with us. We like to think that we're all just having a bunch of coffee and just sitting with all of you as we look to embark on a new year. And there is something magical about this time of year. It's a time when we can think about new months, new pages, blank slates, new opportunities, new possibilities. It's refreshing. It's refreshing. And we want to bring forward maybe a different angle for each of you to consider today. And that's not necessarily about what we all want to do by way of our goals, but we'll get there. We'll talk about that. But who we want to be and who do we want to become along the way? Because I know, for me anyway, I am a very metric-oriented, I'm a very goal-oriented person. But if last year didn't teach me anything, it taught me this: our goals are only as meaningful as the person that we grow into while pursuing them. And so, I mean, if 2024 didn't hit me over the head with that, it did. And so if you were with us last week, we talked about reflections, and all of my reflections was on not so much of what I did, because as you listened, I told you 0 metrics were met. But who did I become along the way? What did I have to let go of? What identity of who I thought I was did I have to release to step into who I needed to become in order to move this mission forward? Because I will tell you, who I was not the person that was going to be able to step into this mission as big as was required. It was limited and it was small. And that is the conversation that we want to bring forward with you today, is who is required of you to really fulfill your dreams and your goals and your vision or mission or whatever you call it this year. Like, if you think about you at the end of 2025, so it's December 31st and it's 2025. If we can shut out all of the to-dos that we have, all of the action steps and the plan, who are you? Who are you? What skills, competencies have you had to embrace in order to step forward as the most authentic, most confident, most compassionate, most loving, most whomever you're envisioning right now, you? And I wonder if there isn't a plan for that also this year. So let's have a talk. Let's have a conversation around what this looks like and how to bring it full circle in this year. Cari.
Oh my gosh. I love it. And you're so right. You're so right. And when we look back at 2024, in It had nothing to do with the metrics. It had nothing to do with the end goal. It had everything to do with who we needed to become. And as we look back, there were so many challenges. There were so many, like you said, stumbling, right? Tripping up, stubbing the toe, fall down type of moments in order to create the individual that we needed to become. And the story that I go back to, and this wasn't a 24 story, this was a 23 story, but it is so perfect for what it is that you're talking about. I was like, oh, we're gonna share this story. And it's actually one that we share in our book. It's when I went to a conference in 2023 and we sat down, and the speaker, this woman, she asks us to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and I want you to think about sitting in this room. And I want you to imagine that you have accomplished everything that you desire to accomplish, all of the big goals. And I want you to imagine what that feels like. And I want you to imagine walking back into this room a year from now, having accomplished everything that you've accomplished. How does that feel? And as I sat in that moment, I'd been in that room before, and I'd been in that room the year before. And the moment she said, I want you to imagine, my little chit chatter up here, because we know how this thing loves to just like intrude with the thoughts, goes, you didn't do it, did you? I was like, what? You didn't do it. All of those things, all those metrics that you thought you were going to accomplish, you didn't do any of them, did you? But the very next thought was, oh, but you did. You did. Because everything that happened over the course of that year, even though it didn't show up as check marks in the to-do list or, oh my God, the highlighter on the battle board of accomplish this and I get to cross this off and look at this metric I met, you walked in here confident, brave, standing on your own 2 feet, right? I was a completely different person than I was the year before. And I had accomplished none of the goals that were on that list. And that's what I think you're asking everybody to see. And I know for me, when I look back over the course of this last year, I am not at all the same person that I was stepping into this year. Not at all. The amount of belief that I have now in mission, in myself, is light years different than what it had been before. And we didn't mark off on that whiteboard. Accomplished this, met this metric. But wouldn't you say we accomplished so much more?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting because it's a different year for me, for sure. Because although I have my battle board and there are some goals on there, it's more about how I want to feel and the experiences that I want to invite in and the fun that I want to have and to be more present and to be more intentional so it doesn't feel as if I'm at the end of the year and where did it go? Right? And I want to be able to slow down time by allowing myself the freedom of to have some fun in it and to use fun, as I was telling you this morning, as kind of a litmus test as to whether or not I do it or not. And what's the best of me look like every day? As opposed to what do I want to get done today? And I'll do that. But instead of starting with that, what are the 3 things? And you know how I am. What are the 3 things
I know.
check off today, right? How about how do I want to show up today? How about what's the best of me look like today? How does the best of me hold space and love the people that I get to love today? That wasn't on my metric board last year, friends.
But how do you, Leah, let me ask you this as the devil's advocate, because
Yeah.
you know I'm not the battle girl. How do you transition? How do you metric that? Right? I am a goal, I am an outcome oriented person. I'm a very goal oriented person. I don't metric it like you do. I
Mm-hmm.
don't battle board it out the way that you do. You have done this for years.
Of
For
decades.
years.
Decades.
How do you transition that, Leah? How do you get your mind to wrap yourself around, like, how do I metric that? How do I put that on a vision board in front of me? Right? Because that's what you do. Like, you have the board in front of you that you look at every day,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been your guide. How do you transition?
Mm. For me, it's going to require a habit practice. It's going to require practice because I'm not in the
Sure.
practice of it. But for me, it's just reaching for a feeling, to feel something right at the very beginning of the day, as opposed to just looking at what I need to do, looking at how I want to feel, and then checking in with myself at the very end of my day to be like, how do we do? How do we do, love? Like, did we feel enough today? All of it. Like, feel all of it, right? Be open to and willing to feel it all, the hard and the easy, right? And did I do that? And without judgment or shame, right? Just be like, okay, tomorrow we can try it again. And I plan on doing that for 365, and I'll let you know next year at this time how it went. But that is my plan. That is more of my plan than
Okay.
to check off boxes.
So will you battle board this year?
Yes. So I will have my board, and it's
Okay.
up there. It's up there. And there will be things that are going to be on there very loose,
Okay.
right? As opposed to this amount and this at this by this time and what have you. The birthdays are up there, the books that I'm going to read are up there. The vacations, the trips, they're up there. But there's a lot of white space. And you've
Mm.
seen my battle boards in the past.
Yeah, I know.
They've been crammed full. There's so much space for feeling. There's so much space for experiences, for just being present. There's a lot of white space up there. And I know some of you that don't know my battle boards, so you'll be like, yeah, there's white space because it's the new year. Oh no. No.
No, no,
No.
love. Let me
My
attest to.
yes. My battle boards are crammed full. January through December, it's all mapped out. And I love just having space there. I just love that there's so much space there for just possibility.
Mm.
I love it.
So let me ask you this, because I
Yeah.
know these are always some of the questions that we get.
Yeah.
What happens? Because I know you said if I'm not having fun, I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not everything's fun, love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you do then? How do you navigate those decisions?
So it's by how I've defined it.
Okay. Tell me
So
more.
I get that there is going to be 50-50. There's going to be, as you know, this is what we kind of teach, that life is 50-50. It's 50% awesome and it's 50% awful. And the reason why that idea is so freeing is because then I don't double down and I'm not blindsided when things are hard. When there are circumstances that feel, by way of thoughts, troublesome or frustrating. So
Mm,
there is no doubt going to be hard emotions this coming year.
yeah.
We we have lots of amazing things that are coming up. We've got an event, we've got a book, we are launching the modern culture. Like, there's a lot of amazing things that are happening, and it will be 50-50. But fun is a state of mind for me. And I
Mm,
believe that even in frustration, I'm going to figure out how to make it fun. I don't know how I'm going to
yeah.
do that. I haven't built the curriculum, but when I do, it's going to be we're going to bring it on the podcast. There will be a framework on how to make frustrating fun,
Of course.
right?
Oh
There
my
will
God.
be a way, just like with everything that we do, we navigate it first, and then we bring forward a way, a tool, a strategy, an idea, an opportunity, for you to consider. And then you can invite that
Yeah.
into your own experience of how to live. But for me, I'm going to figure out how to make, I didn't say happy. I didn't say I'm going to be happy this year, right?
Good
Because I think
distinction.
right? There's a big distinction. I didn't say happy because there are going to be things that I'm not going to want to be happy about.
Mhm.
But can I have fun in it, whatever
Yeah,
it is? That's what I would say to that.
I love it. I love it.
What comes up for you when I like what is it about this year that you are most looking forward to? That I mean, if there was like a word, right? And I haven't landed on it, but I think it's gonna be tied up in fun. It's there's going to be an element of fun in it. What would you say?
This is a big year for me, Miss Leah. This is a
Mhm.
big year for me. Um, because not only will I be making a big personal move,
Mhm.
I'm also turning 50.
Mhm.
That's right. And we have this mission that is so indescribable. It's so amazing. It's so like, if you could feel my heart right now, it is like so expansive. It's so big. And for all of that to be like coming forward in 2025, I would say the first thing that came up was change, and then it was adventure.
Mhm.
Like to just embark on adventure this year. And I'm not a battle board girl. I am not the metricsy girl. I was the sales girl who hated sales goals. Hated them. I found them limiting. I found them to be, they just chunked up my mind and I really didn't care for them. And I just wanted to live in, like, I'm going to accomplish it and make it happen. This is just the energy that I kind of live in, which you very well know. Squirrel's
Mhm.
not the framework.
Mm-mm.
But what I think I'm going to take from this last year and what has really become very, very apparent to me in the past, I would say 2.5 months, is an everyday acknowledgement of creation, an everyday acknowledgement of possibility, and of being able to see, like you said, all of those elements of change that continue to occur or happen. I mean, I remember very clearly standing in my kitchen this year and having, like I said last week, you're going to have, if you allow yourself the moment, if you give yourself just a moment of presence, you will get drips of information, of like glimpses of, oh my gosh. And my glimpse in that moment was, if I had not made a decision that I made in 2022, I would not be sitting in the opportunity and possibility that I'm sitting in today. It wouldn't be. And so I guess for me, stepping into 2025, yes, we have our metrics. And yes, we continue to put forward that operational chart of the mission and the vision. But just to continue holding it so loosely and being open to every conversation and every opportunity without intention.
Mhm.
And what's
Mhm.
interesting about that is I am very intentional in the progress that we make, the belief that we have, the faith that we are, the vision and the mission. I am so intentional in holding integrity around that. But I do not bring agenda or intention into conversation. I do not bring agenda or intention into opportunities because I want to see what it has to offer. I
Mhm.
want to see how big and how open and how expansive it could potentially be. And I think for me, that's what I want to bring forward. And
Mhm.
I am charting out, I have like, I'm manifesting in June to take my kids overseas to
Mhm.
do a whole Harry Potter. That's on the board. And I
Mhm.
think just in seeing what it is that we have the opportunity to create, God bless, I wish people just open to themselves to see the opportunities they create for themselves all the time.
Mhm.
All the time. You're right. When you oh, closed out last week with it, if only you could see
Mhm.
from where I sit, the belief that moves heaven and earth, you would never doubt again.
Mm-hmm.
If only you could see. Man, I wish people had that belief. I wish people could see the energy that moves heaven and earth. You would never doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that we, I think, have the ability to be able to see that is to be open to the opportunities and to have the ability and the awareness and to give ourselves the opportunity to see the creation that we make, the creation that we are, right? I was
Mm-hmm.
sitting with Jeanette a couple weeks ago. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. We were sitting and we were chatting about January, and we have a board retreat that we're going to in Hawaii, the beginning of January, and a cruise, our event that we're hosting at the end of January. And we're sitting over Zoom, and she looked at me and she goes, "Look at the life we've created. Look at the opportunities," right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it in that way, it's like, oh my gosh, wow, right? Because it's not coincidental, people. It's not coincidental. We create all of these experiences for ourselves. We create, like you said, we create the fun and the frustration. I can't wait to see your framework. This is going to be very exciting. You know, I love Leah frameworks. I get all giddy. I'm like, ooh, she's got a framework. It's so good. I'm excited for that. But you like, we create all of those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to be very, very intentional in observing that this year. Very intentional in the presence that I bring forward. Very intentional in who I am and how I show up, because I know that's the modern culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is that has been laid on our hearts in this mission and vision to bring forward. And if anything, if I look back at 2024, that's what 2024 was doing, my dear.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, this is the mission. This is the mission. You need to be the mission first.
Mm-hmm.
You need to become
Mm-hmm.
in order to be able to share. And
Mm-hmm.
while we were efforting and we were doing all the things, and believe me, honey, we were doing the work. They was not shy of doing the work.
No, no, no. We got dirty in the work
We would
for
still
sure.
wake up and be like, seriously, did you get smacked yesterday? Because twice, twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I think I want to look at for this next year. And I'll create some kind of vision, but I hold it more here. For me, I hold it in the emotion. And when I go back to the beginning in that story that I shared in the beginning, that's like you said, that's what I got to hold to. That's what we need to hold to, is who do we want to become?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you decide that, when I decided that in 2022 or 23 or 22, I decided at 23, it came full circle for me. What I was also shown in that moment is, had I accomplished, imagine this, Leah, how many times do we talk about this year?
Mm-hmm.
Had I accomplished what I had set out to accomplish, had I had the business I thought I was going to have, had I had the speaking engagements I thought I was going to have, had I really accomplished everything that I said I was going to accomplish and I was going to feel when I walked in the door the next year, I wouldn't have felt. And if I had, it would have been false. That's what I was shown. Like, all of this came to me in the moment of this visualization that this gal is putting on. And she's walking everybody into this next year. And my whole mind is like turning over everything that has happened, every experience, the fact that I didn't accomplish those things, and the fact that, thank God you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you had, your confidence would have been built on that and not in you.
Mm-hmm.
Your faith would have been built on that. Your value would have been held in that and not in you. And I needed to navigate that whole year the way that I needed to navigate it in order to find that in myself,
Mm-hmm.
and not by the extension of everything else. And then stepping into this year, oh my gosh, Leah, Can you imagine in 2024, had we accomplished what we thought we were going to accomplish, we would never be set forth in this mission the way that it has required us to be. That was a lot, but that's all that just kind of came as you talked about that.
No, and it's so good because to your point, if and like I said last week on the podcast, when I looked at the battle board, I laughed. And I didn't always laugh at it, as I also shared, but I laughed because if I would have accomplished those things, those metrics, those deliverables, we would not be in a position that we are in right now to bring this modern culture into the world. And the modern culture starts and ends with you, each and every one of you.
Mm.
It starts with who you are, not what you do. And me and maybe others, we've been doing it backwards. To your point, if I checked a bunch of boxes and I got a bunch of accomplishments, then my value is based on those accomplishments. And then what happens if the next year I don't accomplish as much? Am I less than? Am I not as good? Am I not as worthy? Am I not as valuable? No. That inner confidence, that inner value, that inner worth, that's the modern culture. The modern culture starts within you, the culture of self. It is shaking it up. It is inviting you to consider your mess and your message. It's inviting you to consider all of your awesomeness and the parts of you that aren't awesome, that aren't perfect, as planned. It was part of the plan. And when we resist those parts of us that we don't like, guess what else happens? We resist it in others. And then we create all of this division. Modern culture unites us. It unites us. I'm reading this beautiful book right now. It's your soul has a dream and your life is it. Your life is it. How are we living our life? That is the question I want you to bring into next year. Now, what are you going to do in it? How are you showing up for it? Who are you becoming in it? Who are you in it? Do you have innate confidence? Do you have innate compassion and innate curiosity? Do you have those attributes that have zero to do with what you do, but everything to do with who you are? That is the invitation. That is the modern culture. That is what we are going to be having conversations with you all 2025. And we hope that you're excited about modern culture. We hope that you're excited about inviting you back into you, inviting yourself back into yourself, where all of your power is. That's where we start. And then the rest is just icing.
I love it.
So,
I'm excited.
I'm excited. So we'll leave you with this. Can you take a minute and maybe not focus on your goals just for a second, if you can, for us? Not focus on what it is that you need to do and all the boxes you want to check, but come back to your innate worth and wisdom that is absolute. And can you just give tremendous gratitude in knowing that whatever it is that you are is enough, and to bring that forward into the world in whatever way that looks, loosely? And can you be intentional about not being intentional, about allowing the universe, God, to just reveal to you what is possible for you? Can you give that some space? That's the invitation today. Have a beautiful one, everybody. Happy New Year. You have been listening to Shift Happens. Discover the Leader Within with Leah Rowling and Cari, where we help you reconnect with your inner leader. Learn to trust your instincts and live with authenticity and confidence.
Tune in every Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time to Shift Happens on Transformation Talk Radio for more insights, inspiration, and actionable strategies to live and lead, not only in purpose, but on purpose. It is time to embrace a life and leadership style that is true to you. For more information, visit shift.life.